discipline desire, whether one can curb it, is a deeper question altogether, which is, what do you do?
What is a man? Is a man brave? Is a man a hero? Is a man a protector? Is a man vulnerable? Is a man disposable? Is a man broken? Is a man trying? We see the good in men.
Those who claim that we should meditate upon ourselves as sexless balls of light, beyond gender and beyond space and time. Oh, really? Then what is the point of taking a body in the first place?
Thank you.
When you are in the spirit body, do you go into meditation to experience what it's like to have a body? No, life and living in your body is the meditation. If you possess a masculine body, that was your choice of experience, your vehicle of perception in the realms of polarity. Your meditation is predicated by the design of the vehicle that you journey through nature with. In your quest for stillness or meditation, you are attempting to use the molecular agreement of the male principle to inculcate the universal spiritual intent through that still point to give you the maximum experience you could have as a body vehicle in life. This is the answers, and this is how you answer the questions such as A. What does the chemistry of polarity known as man supposed to do with his containment? B, what is the primary mandate for the chemical biochip known as testosterone? The reasons for such questions at this point is because in part 2 of our evening together, where I wish we had a fireplace or something and I'd be saying it to you by the fire. The reasons for such questions at this point is because in part 2 of our evening together, you will see that today there are no clear markers or sociocultural parameters to define a man, except that he is an instigator of violence, abuse, mayhem, brutality, ineptitude, selfishness, irresponsibility, lies, and above all, he can't be trusted. Today, a man is being defined and categorized through the estrogenic social lens of the feminist eye. Let me say that again. Today, the man is being defined and categorized through the estrogenic social lens, and that is a perverted estrogenic lens of the feminist eye. Any attempts he makes to reclaim his own persona, any attempts he makes to recapture his own natural giving self-identity, his own nature-given self-identity, is met with vicious retaliation from the feminists who man-jacked it from him since he was a boy. Now, she acts like him and is considered assertive, strong, intelligent, self-assured, a go-getter, independent, confident, all once considered the province of a strong and healthy man. Whenever you hear the description of a woman that she's strong, independent, intelligent, she's a man-jacker. Now I know the feminists hate the shit out of me because that's the man in them hating me. You see, you don't understand metaphysics, so you don't understand your predicament. Look at relationships today, and I told you about it in The Wounded Womb. If you got an assertive, strong, independent woman, you got a weak man following her. It's automatic. Her man is going to look for a woman in him. Am I wrong?
No, not at all.
I know you've seen it. Huh? He follows along like he got a collar.
Right. In the background.
Mm-hmm. She's loud, she's assertive, she's the masculine principle. And he's the game. Yes, he's the game. He is the pet. Now, just see that at a mass social level. Understand that that same kind of feminist energy is what the state has become. And all of us are expected to wear a collar. See, feminists hate me because, see, a lot of brothers don't have the metaphysical argument to shut them up. And why they hate me is because I put this shit on tape for them to find the argument. See?
Today, I wanted to talk about one of the greatest cartoons of all time, He-Man. By the power of Grayskull, I have the power, He-Man. He-Man represents the higher divine enlightened self. Specifically, He-Man is the higher self of Adam, the name of the first man from the Christian Bible, literally the alpha male, the original man, the prototypical quintessential everyman. This higher self is not obvious to the five senses. It is omnipresent yet invisible and intangible, only to be evoked when called forth by vocalizing the intention to release it. Only the truly awake will see it in everyday life. Only those with access to the third eye biopsycho-spiritual technology. Though it is obvious that He-Man and Adam are the same person, in the reality that He-Man inhabits, no one can believe such an average humble person could be so powerful and magnetic. Such is the case with Superman and Clark Kent, Batman and Bruce Wayne, Neo and Thomas Anderson. Within every so-called average human lies the door to an elevated being. It is the true God particle within us. The sincere humility of Adam is what allows him to access this great inner force. He becomes He-Man by holding aloft his magic sword and speaking the magic spell. By the power of Grayskull, I have the power. The Grayskull Castle, the source of He-Man's power, represents the gray skull, and the power inside the skull is the power of consciousness, or what you could also call spirit. There is evidence to suggest that the door to this higher self lies within the pineal gland, a small pinecone-looking gland in the middle of the brain. To unlock the power requires using your magic sword. The magic sword represents the light, the will, and even the soul. It represents power as well as cutting to the truth. It is the number one and the lingam, the male principle. He-Man holding up his magic sword parallels the King Arthur legend when Arthur pulls the sword from the stone to become king. Your king or queen self is the higher divine self, and the crown represents the halo of awakening. It is the crown chakra of enlightenment. Buddha is the higher self of Siddhartha, and Christ is the higher self of Yeshua. We each have the ability to unlock the light and power inside of our gray skulls. Interestingly, He-Man never uses the magic sword for violence. He only uses it to unlock the power of He-Man. When He-Man holds up his sword, he is struck by lightning and thunder, the Vajra thunderbolt of enlightenment in Buddhism, the divine symbol of awakening and indestructible force, the signature weapon of Zeus, king of the Greek gods. Skulls are a deep symbol that represent enlightenment and transcendent knowledge that goes beyond the material world and the flesh. The skull also represents death, and this is more so the case with Skeletor, who looks like the Grim Reaper with his hooded visage. On He-Man's chest, he wears the Iron Cross, representing strength and bravery. The original cross symbol was overlaid on a circle and represents the sun. He-Man is the sun, light, and life. Skeletor embodies night, dark, death, and fear. He-Man and his friends must, as he says, defend the secrets of Castle Grayskull from the evil forces of Skeletor. Thus, they must defend the skull from fear. Losing to fear means losing all of the power. To protect the castle from fear, they use the secret powers of the gray skull, of consciousness, of spirit. The only people who know He-Man's secrets are Man-at-Arms, the Sorceress, and Orko. Man-at-Arms represents He-Man's left brain and masculine consciousness. Man-at-Arms is a master of math, science, technology, war, and the physical body. The Sorceress represents the right brain, the emotional and spiritual side of consciousness. It is the female aspect that represents feeling and intuition. The Sorceress can turn into a falcon and lives permanently in the gray skull. The Egyptian god Horus also was able to transform into a falcon, and the Eye of Horus represents the third eye which can see into the spirit world. The Sorceress represents the connection to spirit, as she is the one who gave He-Man the magic sword of power. To access the power inside the skull means opening the third eye. Opening the third eye gives you the ability to see beyond the material. It gives you extraordinary knowledge, and knowledge is power. Man-at-Arms and the Sorceress represent the same yin-yang dynamic as the architect and oracle from the Matrix. Ultimate yang and ultimate yin. The balance and amplification of these opposites leads to realizing the higher self and achieving cosmic consciousness. Cosmic consciousness is what truly makes one a master of the universe. As above, so below. To become a master of the universe is to master the universe that's inside of you. Orko represents the subconscious. He is mostly without a solid body, hidden in the shadow of his clothes except for his eyes, ears, and hands. His sigil is the O, which is a symbol for darkness and nothingness. It is the number 0, and like the subconscious, Orko is always causing random and unexpected accidents, sometimes helpful, but sometimes creating even more obstacles for He-Man to overcome, allowing him opportunities to further prove his power and greatness. Carl Jung said, "Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it fate." The entire show takes place in the world of Eternia, which represents the timeless spiritual dimension of energy, dreams, and imagination. The He-Man cartoon is a metaphor for the inner forces of consciousness externalized in various human forms, and all occurring within the gray skull castle of Adam, the He-Man.